In a small village tucked beneath the shadow of a great mountain, there were two men whose lives would become a lesson to all who would listen. The village, though remote, was once a peaceful haven where people lived simple lives, worked hard, and looked out for one another. But even in such a place, there were choices to be made, choices that determined the course of a person's life. This is the story of two men, Alden the farmer and Simeon the merchant, and how their choices shaped their fates. Alden was a man of the earth. His hands were calloused and strong, weathered from years of hard work on his farm. He was the kind of man who rose before the sun and worked until it set. But it wasn't just the hard labor that defined him. It was the love he had for his land, his animals, and his neighbors. Alden believed that everything in life was a gift to be nurtured. He tended to his crops with care, and when others in the village were in need, he was the first to offer help. He never asked for more than he needed and always found a way to share whatever he had with others. The villagers knew Alden as a kind, humble man, and it was said that his fields were the most fertile in all the valley. He had a way with the land, almost as if the earth itself responded to his gentle touch. Alden never sought praise or recognition. His reward was in the fruit of his labor, and his heart was light because of it. In contrast, Simeon was a man who saw the world differently. A merchant by trade, he had a silver tongue and a mind for profit. He was clever, perhaps too clever, and was always looking for ways to get ahead. He saw people as opportunities, and every transaction was a means to increase his wealth. Simeon's reputation was built on sharp deals and slippery words. He was charming, yes, but there was something cold in his smile. He would cheat his customers, sell them goods of inferior quality, and take advantage of their trust. Yet, because of his smooth manners, most people overlooked his faults, at least for a time. Where Alden worked with humility and patience, Simeon lived for the next big score, the next sale. His shop was filled with trinkets and goods, but not all of it was worth what he claimed. People in the village whispered among themselves about Simeon's tricks, but none dared confront him directly. His wealth seemed to grow steadily, and it was hard to argue with a man who could offer you what you needed, even if it came at a price far higher than it was worth. Then, one summer, something unexpected happened. The river that ran through the valley began to dry up. The rains, which had been steady for many years, suddenly stopped. For weeks, the sun beat down mercilessly on the land, and the earth began to crack. Alden's heart sank when he saw the first signs of the drought. His crops, though sturdy, needed water, and he knew that he would have to be wise in how he used what little was left. Alden didn't panic. Instead, he made a plan. He constructed irrigation channels to conserve the water he had left, and he began to rotate his crops, making sure each plant received the care it needed. He shared what water he had with his animals, making sure that no life on his farm went thirsty. And, as always, he helped his neighbors, offering them what little he had. Simeon, however, saw the drought as an opportunity. He knew that the villagers would need supplies, and he quickly raised the prices of everything in his shop. A bag of flour that once cost a few coins now cost twice as much. Water, which had always been a basic necessity, was now sold in small expensive portions. He would sell a jug of water for an exorbitant price, knowing that the people had no choice but to buy it. Simeon didn't care that the drought had made life hard for others. He cared only about his profits. As the drought stretched on, the villagers grew desperate. People sold their belongings just to feed their families or keep their homes from burning in the heat. They turned to Simeon for help, though it galled them to do so. And with each sale, Simeon's wealth grew. But in his greed, he overlooked something that would prove to be his downfall. One afternoon, as Alden worked on his farm, he noticed something strange. Despite the drought, his crops were thriving. They weren't growing as fast as they had in the past, but they were still alive and healthy. The plants seemed to be holding on to the water he gave them, stretching their roots deeper into the earth in search of sustenance. And, strangely enough, the sun seemed a little less harsh on his fields. Alden couldn't explain it, but he felt grateful. He knew that there was something deeper at work. Perhaps it was the kindness he had shown to the earth, or perhaps it was the grace of something greater. Whatever it was, Alden's faith in the land had brought him a harvest, even in the most trying of times. As word spread about Alden's thriving crops, other villagers came to him for help. Alden, without hesitation, shared his knowledge and offered them some of his water and food. He wasn't interested in making a profit off their suffering. He only wanted to help. People worked together, saving what they could from the drought, and slowly, hope began to return to the village. Alden's actions became a light in the darkness, and his reputation as a man of generosity and humility only grew. But trouble, as it always does, found its way to Simeon. One day, a boy named Elias, the son of a poor family, came to Simeon's shop. His family was starving, and they had no more money to buy food. Elias had heard that Simeon was the only one who could help.
Please, sir, my family is hungry. Can you spare some bread? Just a little.
Simeon looked the boy over, then shook his head.
I have nothing to spare. If you want food, you'll have to buy it, and that will cost you.
Please, sir, we have no money. We're dying of hunger.
Simeon, irritated, pushed the boy away.
You should have thought of that before you came begging. Now leave me be.
But as Elias turned to leave, something strange happened. In his clumsy haste, the boy knocked over a jar filled with coins on the counter. The jar shattered, spilling its contents onto the floor. In the chaos that followed, Elias, in panic, scooped up as much money as he could, stuffing it into his pockets.
Thief, you steal from me and you'll pay the price.
The villagers, hearing the commotion, rushed to the shop. They saw Elias holding the coins and immediately understood what had happened. But instead of siding with Simeon, the villagers looked at him with disgust. They remembered how he had raised prices during the drought, how he had cheated them all when they were in need. The elders of the village, wise and just, stepped forward.
Simeon, your greed has brought trouble not only upon yourself, but upon this entire village. You have exploited our hardships for your own profit, and now your actions have caught up with you.
Simeon, realizing that his deeds had finally been exposed, tried to argue, but it was too late. The villagers, once silent, now spoke with one voice. They confiscated his goods and banned him from trading in the village. His shop was emptied, and his wealth, which he had worked so hard to accumulate, vanished as quickly as it had come. As for Alden, his crops continued to flourish. The rains returned, though not in full force, and the land healed. People came from far and wide to seek his wisdom, to learn how to live with the land, how to work together in times of hardship. Alden's life was a testament to the truth that those who live with integrity and care for others are rewarded. Not always immediately, but always in the end. One evening, as Alden sat by his fire, an old traveler knocked at his door. He was tired and hungry, and Alden welcomed him inside. They shared a meal together, and the traveler, curious, asked,
Alden, how is it that your crops thrive when others are struggling? What is the secret?
Alden smiled and said,
It is simple. The earth rewards those who nurture it, and so does life. If you sow kindness and integrity, you will always find a way through. But if you sow greed and deceit, trouble will follow you, as surely as night follows day.
The traveler nodded, understanding.
And Simeon?
Alden sighed.
Simeon's troubles are of his own making. Trouble always chases those who live in the shadows of greed, but those who walk in the light of honesty and kindness will find blessings, even in the darkest times.
And so, the lesson of Alden and Simeon passed down through the generations, reminding all who heard it that the path of righteousness leads to blessings, while the path of sin leads only to trouble.
Thank you for watching. Kindly like, comment, and subscribe. Click on the notification bell so you can be alerted anytime a new video is uploaded. And please, don't forget, share and be a blessing to someone. God richly bless you. Shalom.